Here we are, 2nd of Feb 2012.
Second already? Fuck me, governor. Oh, blimey. January finished already?
Yeah.
Woo.
Time is a-coming, time is approaching.
Time's gone.
We're starting a new project. Might be a bit late in the day, but it's called time banking. Now, it's not the banking that you think of as being traditional. We're not after your money. All we want is your time. Well, we don't want it. Your neighbours want it. Your friends want it. Your family wants it. You do it anyway. Do you need money to raise a child? Do you need money to raise a child?
Well, I have precious little of that, so I guess the answer to that would be no.
Yeah.
And I've not done a bad job with the help of their mother, so you know what? No, not really. Apart from food and vegetables, but you know what? If we had an allotment, if we'd been allocated a piece of land as a citizen of our beautiful, I don't know how many square million miles we got on the British Isles, I would have done a pretty good job at growing a few vegetables that I could have shared out amongst some people, I reckon.
Yes, and that would have been something commendable, something that the bigger society, the wider society, the big obese society would have valued and given you credit for in a time banking world.
Well, here's one. If you'd have come to that, quite frankly, if you have to grow your own fruit and vegetables, you're burning a lot of energy anyway. So you know, obesity just out of it. You know.
Yes.
Push by it. Yeah, you know what? That's a pretty good weight. Somebody asked me if I wanted some biscuits the other day. I said, no thanks, I'm fine. They said, are you watching your figure? I said, well, somebody has to, because I don't bother. And quite frankly, I don't bother because I don't need to. I've got to push by, I run around, I do some exercise, I do things for people, you know, just to keep myself active. And I don't expect payment unless I go into a contract with somebody, job-wise, and I haven't had one of them at this point for nearly 2 years. So, yeah, you know, I think be active. Just be active. There you go. That's your National Health Service.
Yeah.
Get people growing their own fruit and vegetables. They have to be physical to do that.
Inventive, creative as well. You know, two things that shouldn't be subject to market forces: food security and energy production. Because we've got to stay warm in the winter. That shouldn't be charged for. That's our human right to be warm in the winter. And it's our human right, I think, also to have enough food to eat without depending on a big supermarket chain to provide it for us at cost to ourselves. You see? But that's a political issue and one that I keep grinding on about, and it's not relevant to what we're trying to do at the moment, which is why we're trying to stay focused on the prize, which is getting this big society time bank into action, on the plan, on the road, people involved, volunteers. Don't call them volunteers, they're participants, because a volunteer gives something for nothing, whereas the participant gives something in exchange for something else.
But in this case, it's the same thing, which is time.
Yes.
Isn't it, Terry?
Well, yes, you only have 168 hours in a week in which to perform. And then out of that 168 hours, you have maybe 30,000 hours in a year in which to perform. And some of that time has to be spent obviously sleeping, child rearing. But the rest of the time you can spend devoting to the society at large. And that's all we're trying to do.
And you can actually do that whilst actually maintaining your own hobbies. In a lot of cases, not in every case, but in a lot of cases. If you like gardening,
yes,
there you go. You know, I'm sure there's a couple of disabled people, some elderly people, people who are just infirm. I've got some friends exactly the same. You know, not disabled, just infirm.
Yes.
Through various illness or injury. They might just need your help. You know, go around, chop down that tree for me. Obviously, you have to get your local council's permission for a lot of that, but you know, that's all part of what we're doing here. We're looking for the legal ramifications of whatever you do. in a lot of cases. And if you need to remove a tree, you need to do certain things about that. These are the things you need to know if you are a gardener. But if you are a gardener and somebody just wants you to pull some weeds, you know what? Just go around and pull some weeds.
And don't use any of that chemical weed killer on the soil, because that actually damages and goes into the water table, and we end up drinking it and becoming cancerous.
And piide, or is it tertiide? I don't know, I'm not I'm messing around with some language here. I'm getting it probably very wrong.
What's piide?
Piide?
Oh. Yeah.
You know, it's piide, isn't it?
Piide, yeah.
The stuff that goes into the soil, into the water, not very good for you. Piide is like being drunk, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a symptom of what you've ingested.
Yeah.
Or tertiide, which is three-eyed.
Okay, well tell us what you understand about co-production.
Co-production?
Right, ask me.
What do you understand about co-production, Terry?
There are three models. There's the business model, which is I do everything for you, you give me the money in return. Then there's the voluntary model, which is I do something for you in return for a bit of kudos and self-esteem. And then there's the middle model, which is the co-productive model, which is you do something for me, I do something for you. That's what the essence of time banking is built upon, based upon, and will enrich the society as a result of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the last bit, which was the only bit that I needed to hear, but yeah, it does actually. I think I was still pondering the question as you were answering it, actually, Terry, there, you know, which sometimes happens.
Yes.
If you don't understand something. Co-production. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Incidentally, can I just add something to that?
Please, be my guest.
I'm just going to throw one in. This is a personal idea, actually. People have a long history against sociology or communism. What you've just explained to me is a form of communism, but for it to work, it's got to be an agreed thing between the people, not an agreed thing between the state and forget the people.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
This totalitarian view of it, it cannot work.
No, I absolutely agree.
As a politician, you don't know what I need. You don't know what I need. Anything you're going to ask me for, or anything you're going to insist that I do, is for the state. But time banking is about individuals and groups of people working together. If I grow something, I might need a service. I give a guy a bag of potatoes. I might need some shears. Hone me a pair of shears, please. I'll give you a bag of potatoes. In fact, every time I harvest my potatoes, I'll give you a bag of potatoes. Because your shears are going to last me a damn sight longer than your bag of potatoes.
Gotcha now.
So it's a value of what that thing can bring you. Obviously, I'm making money on the rest of my potatoes that I've been able to make the money with the shears at doing.
The shears that cut the crop.
Right, to cut the crop, exactly. This is time banking. This is my view of it.
Brilliant.
It's offering you something for something in return. That actually, I'll explain communism. Time banking is a little bit simpler in the sense that it's an hour for an hour, 2 hours for 2 hours, and you give it to an individual. Let's say, for instance, because you'll enrich society as a whole. My brothers used to do ding-a-ling-a-ling, what they call that, the old Joanna. They used to do the piano, right, as a kid. My father was a mean man, so you know, it's only down to my mother why they managed to do that. I'm putting that one in for a few people who disagree with that, i.e. a certain brother of mine. Sorry about this, people, but
it's okay, right. Carry on.
Now, okay, they had to pay for that, yeah? But, and at the time it was a certain amount of money, and now, if I'm looking at what that costs, a piano teacher's not going to charge you less than 12 to £15 an hour. They're not going to charge you less than that. If they do, then it's as a favour, i.e. they may know you and they spent a lot of time at university learning their craft and they've had to pay for it and they want to instill some knowledge, so they're going to give you the knowledge. if I'm doing a bit of gardening for you, now, in the modern world, I can't really charge you more than about £6 an hour as just weeding, yeah. But as a qualified gardener, obviously it becomes a lot more than that because I'm a qualified person, and when I go into your garden, any eventuality I can deal with. Even cutting down a tree, let's say, for instance, tree surgery, which is what you're doing.
Yes.
There's some very serious health and safety consequences that need to be dealt with there, issues that need to be dealt with, i.e., falling debris for one thing. Power tools usage, these are dangerous things, and to be able to operate those things, I need to have gone and done a lot of learning to get that right, and probably would have and incidentally I will tell you, using power tools you need a little bit of experience, because somebody can tell you how they go, but trust me, until you feel one kicking,
cool.
You've got to know about it. Somebody can tell you how to fire a gun, but until you feel that thing in your shoulder, you ain't got a clue.
No.
You ain't got a clue, man. You ain't got an inkling.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just a theory.
It's just a theory, exactly. Until you've had the feeling of it, you don't know. So my point is that there's a lot of experience involved with something, and that's gonna cost. It does cost. It does cost. Because it's cost me to get it.
I got you.
And I've broken wrists and limbs and all that to get that.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing for you, if I come to your place, I'm taking all those risks away. Because you don't have to undergo those risks. You don't have to, because I'm here to do it, because I've done it.
Right.
Now, in society, in a capitalist world, it is deemed that I can charge you a reasonable amount for that experience. Namely, pounds per hour. British pound sterling, I can charge you for that per hour. And if I come to your house as a businessman, I'm going to charge you no less than £10 an hour. And that's just blanket. Yeah? Now, let's say, for instance, I want my hair cut. Or I want my child, my little Johnny there to have, in fact his name's Nathan, but I'll use Johnny as a generic name, okay? Suppose I want my little Nathan to learn to play the piano.
Yes.
As a gardener, I'll charge you £10 an hour. Well, you're going to charge me 15.
I got you now.
So I've got to then do another half an hour to pay for that. It might only take me an hour to do your garden. How am I going to address that? Well, this is what I think time banking is about. It's an hour for an hour. So if I do an hour, you give me an hour. And go there with the assurance, and I will come there with the assurance, that one, you're not going to damage yourself by going into the garden and cutting down a tree and having it fall on you, or getting the chainsaw or run amok and cut your leg off. And you've installed something wonderful in society, which is taught another person to play a beautiful piece of music. Now, isn't that worth having? Isn't that just worth having? Isn't it worth having?
It is.
Well, that's the society I want. That's the society I will have.
Brilliant.